Right now is one of those patches where starting Reverse 1999 is actually insanely good. We have a ridiculous amount of free stuff from the Atomic Heart collaboration, even more coming with the anniversary, and the banners line up almost perfectly for a new account. And I don't say this every patch. Reverse has a lot of established teams now, and many of them require specific true limited characters. If you start during the wrong banner rotation, you could be waiting several patches just to assemble something complete, but this time, you can build one of the strongest modern teams almost immediately. The main character of the Atomic Heart collaboration is the twins. If you pull them right now, they might feel a little awkward. They aren't weak, but the rest of their conduit team isn't available yet. That changes on August 13th with the anniversary patch. The first anniversary character is Rhiannon, our new True Limited support. She works in several teams, but she's especially important for the twins. We're also getting Coppelia as the free anniversary 6-star, and she completes the core of the team. So your lineup is basically the twins, whom you pull during the collaboration, Rhiannon, whom you pull during the anniversary, and Coppelia's, whom you get for free. Across two back-to-back patches, a completely new account can build the foundation of an extremely powerful team. The collaboration patch is also only 21 days long while still giving us a massive amount of rewards. Combined with all the permanent clear drops available to a new account, you can realistically pull the twins and still enter the anniversary with plenty left. I already have a full beginner guide covering combat, insight, resonance, Psycubes, wilderness, stamina management, and all the basic systems. I'm not repeating all of that here. This guide is specifically about what a new account should do during the Atomic Heart collaboration and anniversary. If you start before the anniversary, the twins are your first pulling priority. Their banner uses the normal pity system. You're guaranteed a 6-star within 70 pulls. And if you lose the 50-50, the next 6-star is guaranteed to be the twins. So the normal worst case is 140 pulls. However, the collaboration banner also gives additional milestone rewards at 100, 160, 220, and 280 pulls. At each milestone, you can choose either another copy of the twins or a suitcase impression. These are extra rewards on top of normal pity. You do not need to reach 100 pulls before the twins can appear. For most accounts, the basic plan is to get one copy and then protect enough pulls for Rhiannon. But for a completely new account, I'm actually willing to recommend P2. A new account has enough permanent rewards available that reaching 160 pulls is realistic, and 160 is the maximum needed to guarantee P2 through the milestone system. P2 increases the twins' damage potential by roughly 50%, allowing them to carry your account for even longer time. That said, this recommendation is specifically for brand new players. If you already claimed most of the permanent rewards on your account, don't blindly chase portraits. Completing the team with Rhiannon is much more important than getting extra copies of the twins. Secure the character first, then look at your remaining pulls and decide how safely you can guarantee Rhiannon. Your first progression priority is the main story. Push until you unlock the necessary farming systems and gain access to the Atomic Heart event. The story also gives a large amount of one-time clear drops, so you're progressing your account and funding your pulls at the same time. Once you unlock the event, farm the highest stage you can clear consistently. You do not need to clear the final farming stage immediately. Lower stages still give event currency, which you can spend on the twins' inside materials, dust, sharpodonty, leveling resources, and Psycubes. That gives you a direct path toward making your main damage dealer usable instead of farming everything from zero. And invest heavily into the twins before spreading resources across your entire roster. One highly invested modern damage dealer will carry you much further than 10 half-built characters. Your supports only need enough investment to survive and perform their jobs. They do not need to match the twins immediately. The twins have a unique setup that allows them to benefit from two Psycubes. Because of that, do not finish the first part of the collaboration, collect one Psycube, and assume you're done. Continue into the follow-up content and complete enough of it to obtain the second required Psycube. This is one of the few actually missable priorities in the guide. Normal materials can always be farmed later. Collaboration exclusive Psycube with no confirmed rerun is a completely different situation. Make absolutely sure you secure both Psycubes. During your early progression, you should receive access to a selector containing several older characters connected to the Euphoria system. For a new account, one of the best general choices is Ann Lee. She's an old character, but her newer Euphoria modernized her entire gameplay pattern. Her buff now lasts 3 turns, so she barely consumes any actions. She provides strong offensive buffs, defensive utility, and frequent control through an attack that can easily reach rank 3. That makes her extremely comfortable for early progression. You apply her buff once every 3 turns, use her control when necessary, and spend the rest of your actions on the twins. Is she always the best support for every endgame team? No. Dedicated supports will outperform her inside the teams they were specifically designed for. But a new account does not need perfect best-in-slot teams immediately. It needs someone flexible, easy to use, and useful across many stages. Ann Lee does exactly that. You should also enter Reveries in the Rain much earlier than most beginners expect. Reveries gives Euphoria materials. Euphoria is the system used to modernize older characters. Some Euphorias are basically raw number increases, making a character around 15% to 30% stronger. Others completely change how a character functions by adding passives, improving skills, reducing action requirements, or giving them an entirely new role. A lot of modern teams use older characters specifically because their Euphorias made them relevant again. Yes, Reveries is difficult in-game content. You are not going to immediately clear the deepest 300, 400, or 500 meter stages, but you don't need to. The stages are divided into groups, and the early sections are much more manageable. With a properly raised character like the twins, you can collect meaningful rewards surprisingly early. And you can also get tons of materials very easily by clearing the Isle of Echoes first, which honestly have no difficulty. Reverse now has several permanent roguelike style modes containing large amounts of progression materials. They can give inside materials, resonance materials, Psycube resources, Sharpodonty, dust, and other expensive items. That might sound less exciting than clear drops, but some high rarity materials would normally cost hundreds of activity to farm. Reverse also does not have randomized gear farming. Once you obtain a progression material, it directly becomes character power. So these permanent modes are basically resource banks. You do not need to clear all of them immediately. Whenever your progression slows down or you need a specific material, check which permanent rewards are still available before farming normal stages. Once the anniversary begins, Rhiannon becomes your first priority. She's a powerful support with applications across several teams. But for this route, her main job is completing the twins' conduit setup. You should also claim Coppelia immediately since she's the free anniversary 6-star. At that point, your first team core is established: the twins, Rhiannon, and Coppelia. The 4th slot can change depending on the content and what your account owns, but those 3 already give you the foundation of a legitimate modern team. Complete that team before scattering your pools across random reruns. Late-game modes eventually require 2 teams, but you do not need 2 perfectly optimized meta teams during your first week. Initially, you just need a second competent damage dealer. You can surround that character with free supports, healers, selector characters, and whatever useful units you naturally obtain. For a completely new account, Nautica is one of the strongest second carry options during the anniversary. She's powerful, straightforward to build around, and does not need to fight the twins for the exact same teammates. But pay attention to the banner structure. The anniversary gives free pulls for the rotating True Limited rerun banner. Nautica has her own separate rerun banner as this is her first rerun, so those free pulls will not work on her banner. Once the twins are properly raised, start pushing Artificial Somnambulism and Lucidscape. Surface is extremely easy by modern character standards and contains a meaningful amount of permanent clear drops and account resources. Do not wait until you have 2 complete teams. The twins can destroy most of Surface by themselves. Even though the modes does eventually requires 2 teams, you can still begin with 1 strong team and a much cheaper second site. Even if you cannot full clear everything, partial clears still give rewards. Treat Lucidscape the same way, try the stages, learn the gimmicks, and collect whatever your account can reach. Do not ignore renewable pull currency just because a mode is labeled as endgame. A strong modern carry can brute force much further than you might expect. And that's pretty much everything I can share for anyone interested in joining or anyone who recently started and still has no idea what they should be doing. Overall, the plan for beginner right now is pretty straightforward. And as always, this has been Steamed by Nex. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.